Baik, selamat malam Bapak Ibu sekalian dan juga para hadirin yang sudah berkumpul di malam hari ini. Selamat datang di Indonesia Blockchain Week 2020. Ini adalah acara atau edisi keempat, ya, persembahan dari Tokocrypto. Senang sekali malam hari ini saya kembali mendapatkan kesempatan yang sangat berbahagia untuk memandu acara webinar ini sampai dengan 2 jam ke depan, sampai tepat jam 9 malam waktu Indonesia bagian Barat nanti. Untuk malam hari ini temanya sangat menarik, tapi sebelumnya izinkan kembali saya memperkenalkan diri saya Nelsi Hombing. Ya, malam hari ini temanya sangat menarik sekali buat Bapak Ibu sekalian. Kita harap Bapak Ibu sekalian bisa stay terus sampai dengan 2 jam ke depan. Tema kita malam hari ini adalah managing crypto assets using mobile wallet. Ya, dan rangkaian acara di kesempatan malam hari ini seperti biasa kita akan memiliki keynote speaker yang akan berbagi informasi seputar managing crypto assets menggunakan mobile wallet. Dan juga ada panel discussion, ada juga Q&A, dan juga nanti akan ada lucky draw yang akan memilih siapa saja yang beruntung malam hari ini untuk mendapatkan hadiah. Ya, Anda harus stay sampai dengan akhir, dan juga nanti di akhir webinar Anda kami minta atau mohon kesediaannya untuk mengisi survei, yang dimana nanti di layar gadget Anda akan muncul QR Code. Anda bisa pindai atau scan QR Code tersebut untuk mengisi survei kami, yang dimana malam hari ini surveinya keywordnya itu adalah wallet. Ya, sekali lagi dicatat keywordnya adalah wallet. Baik, kalau begitu mudah-mudahan di malam hari ini saya bertemu dengan Anda, Bapak Ibu hadirin sekalian, dalam kondisi sehat walafiat. Ya, tanpa berpanjang lebar lagi, kita akan langsung masuk ke keynote speaker kita yang pertama. Saya akan memperkenalkan terlebih dahulu, ya, karena ini tema kita malam hari ini berurusan dengan wallet, ya. Jadi saya akan memperkenalkan Bapak Ibu sekalian kepada Victor Radchenko. Good evening, Victor. Hello, Victor. Are you already on the call?
Yes. Hey.
Hey, Victor. How are you, guys?
Good. How about you?
I'm good. Okay, before you start to share your screen, allow me to introduce your CV first to our audience. Victor Radchenko is founder of Trust Wallet and also CEO of Trust Wallet. Victor, originally from Ukraine and moved to the US since 2011 to pursue your career, right? And also had the vision to change the world for the better. Wow, we are agree on this. He was an early employee of the secure cloud-based communication platform Symphony. And previously, Victor as a co-founded startup in logistics space, Tracker Pets, and which provided navigational assistance and also freight matching, right? And now Victor is a founder of a multi-currency crypto wallet and debt browser, Trust Wallet, which was acquired by Binance to continue its mission to make cryptocurrency easy to use and give users full control over their digital assets, right?
That's right. Yeah.
All right, then. Okay, before you start your presentation for tonight, allow me to invite our audiences to drop their question. So we will going to open a Q&A session after you present. Jadi untuk Bapak Ibu sekalian, untuk Bapak Ibu yang memiliki pertanyaan ya kepada Victor, silakan drop pertanyaan Ibu di kolom komentar malam hari ini. Nanti setelah Victor akan present materinya, nanti kita akan membacakan beberapa pertanyaan terpilih selama 5 menit setelah Victor selesai memberikan presentasinya. Ya, alright, Victor, are you ready to share your screen now?
Yeah, totally. I'm ready to get started.
Alright, then for the next 15 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Victor Radchenko.
Ready? Sounds good. Alrighty, do you guys see my screens well?
Yes.
Alrighty, cool. Yeah, I would just get started from just explaining a little bit about like Trust Wallet in the past, like how did it all started. So let me intro. I'm Victor, founder of Trust Wallet. So one of the things I want to get started with is that like I got to crypto not just randomly, but I came for the reason just because I found it as a passion when I started learning about crypto. And eventually it grew to build a company just because I realized how limited the crypto products were. And at that point, that was a big problem in terms of just user experience. And I thought that in order to build better user experience, we need to start building products in the mobile space and start growing the ecosystem to improve the overall experience. So since 2017, this is where ICO boom started. I came to the space where I wanted to participate in ICOs and I wanted to experience what it is to invest into different companies. And so when I came to space, I realized that there was only like a few products available back then. It was like my Ether wallet. And then what I realized that like I'm a mobile developer, I know a lot about security, and then it would be good to actually build a product that will combine those things together and build a mobile product for the users who are mobile users, and specifically myself. And so since 2017, I started writing some code that basically become a trust wallet. So it was a simple product that I built in about 2 weeks. And then, I shared with my friends and they started to use it for their own ERC20 tokens. And so since then, I was like really into building a wallet just for the simple people, people who never experienced crypto in the past, and someone who wants to start learning crypto. And so today I want to cover kind of the basics on what I think the wallets are and how they affect and being used by people. Yeah, so if you think about wallets, at the current stage of the crypto development, wallets become as a window to decentralized world. So it means that, in the previous kind of patterns, if you ever wanted to use, bank account, you would have your email and password. And so that was your way to log in into all these different systems. But when you think about wallets, it's totally different view, because now, as long as you have your private key, you're able to connect to lots of different services out there on the market. So in this case, you also own the private keys, which kind of you own by you. So in this case, you have full sovereignty over your funds, over your identity. And so now, as you can see on the market, like people starting to build many other products around it. And you don't need to kind of provide all this data to other companies, because now you own the data, because you can sign different messages and you log into different services quite easily. Yeah, and so one example I'll usually give, so wallets will become more similar on how different browsers are now on the web, where you use your browser Chrome to log into different services. And so wallets will become the same service that will allow you to enter different protocols, use different identity providers, and it will just make things much simpler with controlling it. Yeah. And so I want to go over a little bit about like how the future would look like for wallets, what kind of features will be built and would need to be improved in order for us to become, the future of finance. So I want to touch base on this. And one of the things I realized regarding crypto is that like you need to be keep innovating or you left behind. Crypto moves very quickly, so you only have like months or even weeks to implement specific features, functionality, because there's other companies who are building even faster. And so this is actually great because you can easily experiment with different products, and at the same time you can test it with different people easily. So I think it's very important. Yeah, and so I want to talk about like starting like what is the most important thing in crypto right now, and this is something that every product in the wallet space is trying to improve. So we're also looking very closely and trying to build this best experience as possible out there. And so one of the problems that we currently notice that crypto is quite hard to use overall, just because it has a totally new paradigm in terms of just utilizing their identity. And so having the private key is quite tough because you can easily lose it. You forget how to back them up, and it's just totally new concept. And so I think what's important is to build a better onboarding system that will allow people to never forget their private keys, to always keep them secure, and just gonna have that peace of mind in place in order to use the products. Yeah, we're a little bit far behind overall in crypto development at this point, just because it's being quite a progress, but at the same time there is lots of limitations or some centralized pieces that comes to mind if you like build too nice of the experience, because you either need to have like full independence and have like private keys by the people, or you need to have your keys stored somewhere in the iCloud that's usually controlled by other companies. So I think it's a balance between like how you pick between security, but there's always a compromise in terms of user experience. Yeah, and also like one of the most important things in place that needs to be built in crypto is friendly usernames. So currently, if you wanted to ever send money to anyone within your friends, you would need to usually typed as like long hashes. And I think crypto came to the place where now we have a better system for friendly usernames. And there's a number of protocols that already have this functionality built. It's ENS, FIO, and unstoppable domains. So those services building out like decentralized protocols for anyone to create different naming, attach different addresses, websites, or anything that could come to mind. Yeah, and so this is all kind of supported by major wallets at the moment. Yeah, and then in order for people to start using crypto even more, we need to have a way for them to put money into crypto, because most people get stuck at this stage because if you don't have any money in crypto, you're not able to spend it. But at the same time, if you have the crypto, there's usually no way to spend it. So I think we're trying to solve this chicken and egg problem where we would need to get enough people using crypto on a daily basis in order for them to get started and using it within their friends. And so Fiat Gateway for bringing all these people in crypto is quite crucial. And then as long as you connect with different providers out there in different countries, it's quite important to build these bridges. Currently, it's quite a pain to build services that connect all these fiat services together, since every country has their own legislations and other limitations that usually come to it. Yeah, I think other important part is that when you think about building a wallet or building an asset manager, you need to think about what other possible ways or different digital assets you can build around. So one of the basic needs at the moment for crypto usage is having support for all the coins and tokens. So this is what the majority of people is currently using, and it's very important to build this interface that allows people to easily understand and have universal interface to access it. So if you have Ethereum or Bitcoin, it would needs to be just needs to be a logos of tokens, in that sense that it just simplifies the interface for you to send and receive, and you can generalize it to make it as abstract as possible, to not be worried about using even a crypto product, because you would think as you using a regular product itself. And then at the same time, there is two differentiations in terms of digital assets, and they're called usually fungibles, which is ERC20 tokens, one example, and the non-fungibles, which would be more like a collectibles. They're rare and unique assets that could only exist on the blockchain usually, and then they would have only one asset itself. So it means that every single non-fungible token will be unique, instead of that, as regular assets that there would be many of them. Yeah, and so I think, back in 2017, no one even talked about DeFi, and now in 2020, I think everyone is focused on DeFi. And I think it's very important to mention that DeFi is kind of a number of protocols that trying to build in on the Ethereum blockchain specifically right now, that allows you developers to empower to build different applications for the future in decentralized finance. And it's very interesting to see the huge growth in terms of just building different protocols that allows developers to connect all these pieces together to build all the products that we usually see in our real world, but we never had them in crypto. So one example would be that you can build different lending protocols or DeFi exchanges, or DEXs that allows you to access decentralized exchanges. Yeah. So currently DeFi is on the rise, and we've seen a huge amount of funds being locked into DeFi ecosystem. And so I want to kind of go over and kind of chat about things that already the reason why all these funds being locked into DeFi and what's the purpose for it. So currently there's almost 7 billion funds being locked in DeFi. So it means that people who come to the protocols, they like their funds to access a specific protocol, but at the same time, they participate in the governance inside and then earn interest just providing liquidity itself. Yeah, so there's a couple of protocols on the market right now that allows people to kind of utilize it. So there's one that's called which is the open source and non-custodial protocol for enabling and creating money markets. I think the use case for this is that people can or users can earn interest on deposits and borrow different type of assets. I think it's totally different concept that we've seen in real life, where you would need to kind of go to the bank in order to borrow or lend assets. Now it's all possible on the blockchain, and it's like fully permissionless. It doesn't require you to have an account, or like you have an account automatically on the blockchain. So it just makes it easier for you to use it. And then there's also Compound, which is algorithmic autonomous interest rate protocol that allows you to do pretty much the same, but just have different kind of functionalities and different governance model that distinguish between them. Yeah, and then when you think about just digital assets, you would think that you would need to have access for them to be swappable. So it means that for any asset, there is kind of like a speculation part that people use right now, where you would need to have one asset and convert it to another in order to just make it simple. We trying to build the interface that allows people to do it seamlessly. And that's something we built on the Trust Wallet side, where we're trying to connect with the different providers out there and just building this unified interface that allows you to select the asset you want to sell and you want to buy. And behind the scenes, we're using different protocols like Hybrid Network, Uniswap to find all the matching pairs for you, and then we would run the order itself on a smart contract. So in this case, user has like full control over their actions, because it doesn't go through any centralized services. It goes directly to the blockchain itself. At the same time, we provide like full trading experience using Binance DEX that allows you to like set orders and trade it within the app itself. Yeah, and then there's a big kind of need for tokenizing different assets that currently exist in the real world. So imagine you wanted to own a Tesla stock, but you live in a country that doesn't have ability to invest in the Tesla stock. So in this case, there is protocols as synthetic that allows you to create this like synthetic assets, which is quite important for future growth, because we would need to have ability to create any type of asset that will be backed by some physical assets itself. And so synthetic assets allows you to have that ability to create these things called synths that provides you exposure to tokenized synthetic version of real assets. Yeah, and once we talk about like real assets in real life, then we talk about building these bridges, and allows you to connecting the real world assets into blockchain. And for that reason, we would need to have good infrastructure to build all these oracles. And why it is important right now, because all these products out there, they mostly rely on data provided by some centralized companies, but it's not sustainable long term, and we need to have all these oracles built into blockchains, so they will be providing all this data to all the protocols inside for price of the Bitcoin or USD price that allows you to convert easily on the protocol itself. Yeah, and then like once we talk about all these protocols, it's very important to mention that they currently exist, and there is a number of people who have control over their future, so they can make adjustments. And so in order to further decentralize the protocol, usually people build governance model inside the protocol itself that allows you to make it community driven. So in this case, instead of people or single person controlling protocols or smart contracts, there's DeFi governance, which allows anyone to participate in the voting process, where for any proposal, people can vote with a token amount they have in order to pass or reject the protocol itself. It's quite fascinating to see this happening now with the rise of DeFi, because before there wasn't no need to make this happen. And now, because there is so much money being locked, it makes sense to have this governance model to be implemented. Yeah, I think that's it on my side, and would be happy to answer some questions from the audience as well. It's a couple of minutes, I believe.
All right. Thank you so much, Victor, for sharing your insight for tonight. I already curated some of questions for you tonight from our audiences. For the first question, there is Adi Saragi. Hi, Adi. Good evening. Would you say hi to Adi, Victor?
Adi, how's it going?
Or maybe you can say Horas. That's our
Horas.
greeting in.
Horas.
Nah, cool. Okay, Adi has a question. Good evening. How many fees sent to wallet exchange?
Can you repeat the question?
Adi said, how many fee sent to wallet exchange?
Yeah, so the way you think about like just decentralized dexes is that like Trust Wallet itself doesn't charge fees, but where the fees usually come in, because we're using different protocols, the protocols itself could be charging fees behind the scenes. Or if you're using Binance Dex, then the fees you only pay is the network fee for execution of the orders. So usually in crypto right now, I think you pay mostly for the network fees, which is much higher than the fees itself on other services. So I think that's where usually the fee come in, and it's quite expensive to even like trade it on Ethereum blockchain. And the fees usually come down to like $10 per transactions. But by designing the protocols, like on Trust Wallet, we don't charge the fees itself.
All right, then. Thank you so much for the answer. And then we are moving to the next question from Ryan Ardiana. Good evening, Ryan. Will Trust Wallet have desktop version? Because many people didn't only use mobile for save or trade their crypto assets, I think many people also will need desktop Trust Wallet.
Yeah, I think we don't plan to build any desktop version, but I think the main reason is because we want to focus just on providing mobile experience. And when you think about crypto wallet, you also think a lot about like the security of it. And so mobile usually provides better security model by the operation system itself. So mobile itself has less exposure to different type of viruses and phishing attacks and all that. So we don't plan to build this just because it just covers a smaller amount of people. Plus, it has like this security problems on different platforms, especially like Windows, for example. So that's why I think if you focus on a mobile, you can bring a lot more people to crypto by itself. But at the same time, we're trying to build bridges by building in protocols like Wallet Connect that allows you to connect your wallet to the desktop version itself. But at the same time, your private key stays on your phone. So in this case, you can provide the same type of security, but you can still access the desktop version of it.
Okay. So you focus on more on security and also accessibility. Exactly, where you can use it wherever and whenever, right? Okay, thank you, Ryan. We are going to move to the third question from Anggi. Anggi Adiana Elfatoni. Hi, Anggi. I'm Trust Wallet user since first time I know about crypto because it's easy to use. I have invested almost all of my asset for Trust Wallet token. So Victor, is there a possibility that Trust Wallet token will be hit $0.1?
I don't know. Now we don't discuss this, but I think the value we're trying to bring is like we're trying to build the value to our token by providing useful services. And so as a wallet provider, we have lots of things that needs to be moderated. For example, whenever there's a new token come out, like what is the logo you're going to use, what information you'll provide. So we're using a token model in order for users to moderate that information on our side. But I think there's tons of value you can create by just providing this type of governance system inside. But we're just trying to bring value to people, trying to onboard people who never used crypto in the past, and by providing a token, we kind of give them ownership over assets and like first exposure to crypto. And so this is basically our focus right now.
All right, then we are going to move to last question for tonight. Kalam Hanan. Good evening, Kalam. Over time, I can see through the chart that the dollar locked in DeFi is always increasing. My question is, what effect will this increase have on the stability in the USD value?
I actually don't know what it means in terms of USD value. I think just overall, like what the DeFi amount locked means is that like how much money being staked into different protocol, right? I think it's also a challenge on how do you calculate the total amount value of stake, because there's like so many things happens where you can stake it and you actually withdraw other type of asset and then you stake it somewhere else on the protocol itself. But I actually don't know how I can't really understand the question regarding like USD stake. But yeah, I think that's kind of how it works at the moment.
All right, then. Thank you so much for the answer, Victor. I have
thank you guys for having me.
Q&A session. Of course, we are going to meet again on the panel discussion, right?
Yep, that's right.
I'll see you very soon. Thank you so much, Victor.
All righty, thank you for having me.
All right.
See you guys.
Yep. Okay, I'll see you soon. Oke, Bapak Ibu sekalian dan juga peserta webinar di kesempatan malam hari ini, setelah tadi kita sudah mendengarkan keynote speaker kita yang pertama, Victor, kita sekarang akan lanjut ke keynote speaker yang kedua, tapi kembali saya mengingatkan Bapak Ibu untuk stay terus di acara webinar ini sampai tepat jam 9 malam nanti, dan nanti di akhir acara kami akan memberikan QR Code yang dapat Anda pindai atau scan untuk memberikan survei dengan kata kunci di malam hari ini adalah wallet, ya. Sekarang kita akan lanjut ke keynote speaker yang kedua. Allow me to introduce you guys to Luke Stokes. Good evening, Luke.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Oh, hi. Yes, it was such an honor to having you here also. Before we see your presentation, allow me to read your CV first. Luke Stokes as a managing director from FIO or FIO. Yeah, managing director for the Foundation for Interwallet Operability. Well, the interim executive director of the EOS Foundation. Luke passionate about voluntary systems of governance and has been involved in Bitcoin since early 2013. Luke also been a consensus witness for the blockchain since early 2018 and a custodian for EOS DEC, and also a community-owned EOCO block producer and DEC enabler since its inception. With a computer science degree from UPenn, Luke built, bootstrapped, and co-founded the shopping cart software company, Foxycart, of over a 10-year period, and is now focused on blockchain technology as a means to create a world we all want to live in. Luke currently lives in Puerto Rico with his wife and 3 children and enjoy discussing everything from philosophy to consciousness to voluntarism and to love and also awakening. Oh, that's it. Your CV for tonight. All right, Luke, are you ready to show your screen?
Yes, one moment. Let me just share here and present.
All right, then, for the next 20 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Luke.
Thank you so very much for having me. As was mentioned, I am the managing director for the Foundation for Interwallet Operability. And my discussion today is going to talk about the importance of usability in the cryptocurrency space and how important that is for mass adoption. One of the new exciting opportunities we have in this space is the open source protocol FIO, which is aiming to make crypto products easier so anyone can use them. And I'll explain the role that FIO can play as we talk about usability in the wallet and crypto space. So as was mentioned, I gave a presentation early in 2013. Actually, my first purchase of cryptocurrency was in January of 2013. I spent $50 and I got 2.5 Bitcoin, which is a pretty good deal. And from then on, I was very passionate about explaining to others about cryptocurrency and why I believed it was going to be more disruptive than the internet, that it was going to have a major impact on our lives, possibly one of the most disruptive instances in our lifetimes. And I continue to encourage people to learn about Bitcoin and to understand cryptocurrency. I was also running, as was mentioned, a company called Foxycart, which is an e-commerce shopping cart company. And as we developed this software and promoted it to many stores around the world, I was also blogging about trying to get people to understand and accept Bitcoin in their store, in their shopping cart. And what we found, no matter how much I spoke at presentations, at conferences, no matter how much I presented on it, blogged about it on our website and talked to people about it, there was this resistance to actually accepting cryptocurrency. And what we discovered is that no one really cared. In 2013, I started a meetup in Nashville, Tennessee, and I was educating people about it. But it was still, even with thousands of stores that we had on Foxycart, there was very few that were persuaded to accept cryptocurrency. It was just too confusing. There were too many concerns about friction in the checkout process and concerns about cart abandonment, impacting their conversion rates. Having to educate and explain the complexity of public addresses and things of that nature to their users and customers was something that they just didn't want to take on. It was too difficult to use cryptocurrency for most people. And I saw this as a pretty serious burden and hindrance to the mass adoption of cryptocurrency that I felt was inevitable. And so with the Foundation for Inter-Wallet Operability, we did a usability survey on a number of different crypto users, in this case, over 200. And we found that 75% were less than confident when sending tokens or coins. And I myself, I'm a I'm a computer science major. I'm a very, technologically, savvy person. And I still, after 7.5 years, get stressed, checking every single character to make sure it's the correct public address and making sure that I didn't send the wrong public address in my buffer when I copied and pasted, or making sure that I have the right QR code. And it just can be very, very stressful, even now. So even with, in some cases, 18% actually lost funds because of an incorrect error with how they put in the public address. 55% had problems during the transaction. Something didn't go as they expected, and that was very frustrating for them. And then very importantly, and very worrisome for the industry, is that 6% were actually victims of man-in-the-middle attacks. And what that means is, if I was going to send you my public address for where you should send me cryptocurrency, an attacker can get in between that message, and they can replace my Bitcoin address with their Bitcoin address, as an example. And there was some news about this recently in I think it was the exit nodes for Tor were starting to be used for this purpose. People were looking for Bitcoin addresses and swapping out their own addresses in between that process. And the same thing can happen with a QR code, which is an unencrypted message that anyone else can get in between the original sender of the message and the recipient of the message. So it's very concerning to me that, one, cryptocurrency is just stressful and it's confusing, public addresses are confusing, and the process of getting someone your public address is not secure and not trusted, and really causes people stress. So when I look about cryptocurrency in the future, where are we in 2013, where are we today, and where are we going? I personally believe that mass adoption of cryptocurrency is inevitable. This is the best ledger ever invented, and money throughout history, whether it's tally sticks, rocks, shells, has always been a ledger. It's a mechanism for humans to keep track of credits and debits. And so I do believe, because of Gresham's law and other laws and other ways that humans deal with value, that the best form of money will inevitably win. There'll be more and more people gravitating to better forms of money. So I do believe this is inevitable. It's just a matter of time. And as we discussed today, it's just very difficult, actually too difficult, for billions of people on the planet, everyday people, to use cryptocurrency. And in order for us to overcome this, in order for us to have mass adoption, we have to make it at least as easy as the existing payment systems like PayPal, Venmo, any of the systems you use today. Otherwise, we're going to be hindered from that mass adoption. It's just a matter of time for someone to make it easier so that we can get to that point. I also believe that it's not going to just be one particular cryptocurrency. There will probably be hundreds, if not thousands of them. I know those who are strongly believing that Bitcoin, what are commonly called Bitcoin maximalists, many believe that they will be the only valid cryptocurrency. And although that may be true, I still think, and many others in this space agree, that there are many different attributes of certain programmable money cryptocurrencies that are unique to that community and to the needs of that community. And therefore, I think there's going to be many cryptocurrencies serving those needs. So therefore, we're going to need an interoperable usability solution across all those different cryptocurrencies in order to solve this problem of making it easier to use. And so the question before us as a community is this going to be centralized, such as PayPal offering up the ability to use cryptocurrency in their central solution? Or is it going to be a hybrid, kind of like PayID, where you have to trust the DNS and domain name owner and you lock in your account to that specific domain or that vendor, and then they control it instead of you? Or is it going to be decentralized, private, secure, and self-sovereign, which I think is what FIO has to offer? And I'd like to talk about that just a little bit as well. So when we look back at the adoption of the internet was around for a little over 10 years prior to the HTTP protocol being released into the world. And the hypertext transfer protocol enabled a usability layer for the internet. And this had a dramatic effect on the adoption of the internet. As soon as there was a shared usability layer, we were able to get the World Wide Web and web browsers and all these other possibilities of building on top of the internet. You and I are experiencing this chat today via the technologies that were pioneered early on, but the HTTP layer gave them a uniform interface for us to click on links and be able to find the content. So I believe we're in a similar space today where the blockchain cryptocurrency industry has been around for just over 10 years. And we haven't yet had this usability layer that works across all blockchains. And that's what I think we're seeing now with the open source FIO protocol. So I want to spend some time and talk about that so you're aware of it as you're looking into wallets and exchanges and payment gateways and different opportunities. I do believe that this is going to become more and more common. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased as the managing director, but it is an open source nonprofit organization, and we are working with many in the industry. So I wanted to make sure you're aware of what it is we're doing as you start to experience other wallets in the space. So it is an industry-led consortia with wallets and exchanges being able to benefit directly from integration to the protocol. Importantly, it's decentralized and open source, and it gives the user full self-sovereign control of their assets. It's independent from other blockchains, meaning you don't have to get cooperation with a blockchain or integrate directly with a blockchain in any way for the benefit of the protocol to be realized. And it's completely agnostic to the wallet or the blockchain, meaning as long as you have support within the wallet, it will work with every single token and chain that that wallet supports. And so it is a decentralized service layer, which includes FIO addresses, FIO requests, and FIO data. And I'll spend a little bit of time on this to discuss how there are a lot of wallet naming solutions. Victor gave a great talk just now about the Trust Wallet and the many different naming solutions that the Trust Wallet and other wallets support. They're often called wallet naming solutions. So there's ENS, Handshake, Unstoppable Domains, and these are all great protocols that we eventually want to be able to work with more directly as well. But we also feel like a wallet naming solution by itself isn't enough to solve the usability problems that I currently see in the space. There has to be something leading up to a transaction. It's not enough to just take away the confusion of a public address, but it's also important to make the entire experience easier and make it more similar to what people are already used to with their current payment solutions. And that's where FIO requests and FIO data come in. So with a FIO address, it's simply Luke@Stokes as an example. I can have a custom domain and a name on that. It's a single identifier that eliminates the need to ever see any kind of public addresses. And it just makes the entire process much, much simpler. And again, it works with every token and coin automatically. And instead of just the ability to send cryptocurrency, which is the norm today, you also have the ability to request funds. And this is, I think, really important because every financial interaction starts with a request for funds. In the 7.5 years that I've been in the blockchain space, there's only one time that I had cryptocurrency show up in my wallet that I didn't expect. And it was from an invoice I had submitted months ago, and we had never agreed on the exact token or the amount of tokens. And so I had to kind of scramble to figure out where did this Bitcoin come from, and it was very confusing. But in every other interaction, it's always started with an order request or an invoice. There's always been a request of funds, and that request had to be done out of bounds. I either had to email them a Bitcoin address or send it in a message or discuss it over the phone. And that again creates the opportunity for man-in-the-middle attack. So it's really important to have a secure mechanism to send a request for cryptocurrency to someone else in a way that they know exactly the amount, which type of token, and some details about the token, about the request. And that those details are what we call FIO data. So you can put an order cart or invoice into the request. And again, this is really important for the usability of cryptocurrency. If we don't have these features, if someone doesn't solve this, then we are going to be hindered from the mass adoption that we all see. And as we've been talking about today, the usability is super important, especially for the billions of users that are still coming on board to cryptocurrency. If we have to explain to them public addresses and everything like that, it's going to be quite difficult for them to get on board. So as you can see here, as a consortia, we have a number of different partners who have integrated either partially or fully the FIO protocol, and they're also working to or they're working on it right now. I mentioned Trust Wallet here. We're very happy to have them as a member as well, along with others. Shapeshift just announced, I think, over the weekend, or they're about getting ready to announce, I'd say. And so it's very, very exciting to see all the different members of the cryptocurrency community realizing this challenge of usability and how important it is for us to solve this within our industry. Because again, if we don't solve it with a decentralized, self-sovereign, private, and secure mechanism, then we run the risk of going backwards and going back towards centralized entities that control the process of cryptocurrency. And so this is something I'm personally passionate about. I do think that we have to make progress forward with decentralized solutions, because that is kind of the point of peer-to-peer digital cash, the kind of original intention of this industry. And as you can see, we also have a number of exchanges that are integrating the protocol and the token, and this will make depositing and withdrawing from exchanges much, much easier than we have today, and cut down on all the errors that people see where they deposit the wrong token to the wrong address, things of that nature, as well as different payment processors, applications, and FIO tools. The ecosystem and the economics for the system are designed in such a way that everyone who participates in the system gets rewarded. So those who purchase FIO addresses actually get 10% of that. It goes to the wallet. 5% goes to the foundation to continue developing the protocol and doing marketing and advertising, things of that nature. And 85% goes to the block producers to secure the network. In addition to this 10%, there's also a user bounty programmed on chain, because this is a separate chain that runs on itself as a delegated proof of stake chain. There's an additional 40% that goes to the wallets. So any wallet that's watching this presentation, we'd love for you to at least check it out and recognize that you have an opportunity to generate revenue for you and your community. So if someone registers, for example, a FIO address at around $2 a year, you can get a full $1 a year in value via that 10% and the 40%. Because we feel like if there's going to be a protocol that is really owned and operated and led by the community as a consortia, then there has to be tokenomics in there to incentivize all those who create value within that ecosystem. And that's what we've developed. So the tokens can also be retained for voting on block producers. It is an EOSIO based chain. So there is the block producers that define the fees on chain and all the different protocol changes and governance on chain. And those are directly elected by the token holders. And then in addition, tokens can be sold back into the market by the block producer and the foundation to keep the whole cycle going. As you can see here, we've got a number of key industry leaders, such as Eric Voorhees and Paul Poy, who have been very excited about the FIO protocol. I won't bother going ahead and reading all of these because we're running a little short on time, but I wanted to let you know about the number of people that are joining the community for FIO and invite you as developers and community members and product owners yourselves, wallets in particular, to come and join our ecosystem and our community. We have extensive knowledge-based information where we talk about what we're doing with FIO, which you can see at kb.fioprotocol.io, as well as detailed developer documentation, which again, the protocol is open source. The API and SDKs are all available for anyone who would want to connect their products and services to the network. It's completely permissionless and anyone can join and participate. And that is the end of my presentation. And I'd love to have time for any questions or comments you have.
All right. Thank you so much, Luke. We are going to open questions for our audiences through our panel discussion. Right after this, I would like to invite the other panelists for tonight. So, Luke, could you stay a bit longer for panel discussion for tonight, right?
Absolutely. Happy to join. Thank you.
And I love the idea of remember the why behind every transaction. Alright, Bapak Ibu sekalian, sekarang kita akan masuk ke dalam panel diskusi di mana saya akan mengundang panelis untuk bergabung bersama kita. Dan untuk Bapak Ibu sekalian yang memiliki pertanyaan seputar topik kita malam hari ini, silakan berikan pertanyaan Anda melalui kolom komentar di platform sosial media tempat Anda menyaksikan webinar online malam hari ini. Kalau begitu, tanpa berpanjang lebar lagi, saya akan memanggilkan panelis yang akan join bersama dengan kita di kesempatan malam hari ini. Setelah tadi kita bersama dengan Luke dan juga Victor, I would like to invite Dhani Baskara, Mr. Dhani Baskara, founder from Vexanium. Apakah Pak Dhani sudah bersama dengan kami di dalam webinar ini? Jadi Pak Dhani ini is Indonesia's first public blockchain for mass adoption, Vexanium. Mr. Dhani also was serial technopreneur with more 13 years experiences in tech and startup industry. Before he entered crypto, he have several experiences, built several tradition technology startup, a startup of e-commerce deals, and also cashback app with 1 million and 11 million users on 2010 and also 2015. And his previous ventures, and after several years in startup industry, he saw that blockchain and decentralized business model is the next innovation after the internet, and he started enter blockchain industry around 5 years ago and moved from traditional tech startup to blockchain space. Please welcome Dhani Baskara. Halo, selamat malam.
Halo,
Dhani.
Good night, everyone. Ya.
Hai,
Halo,
good night.
Ya.
Apa kabar, Pak?
Baik, Pak.
Ya. Siap. Are you ready for our panel discussion for tonight?
Yes, absolutely ready.
Yes, okay. Baiklah. Sebentar ya, Pak. For other panelists, I would like to invite Mr. Dhani Taniawan from CryptoWatch. Dhani Taniawan is a founder of CryptoWatch. It's educational community that helps growing the blockchain and cryptocurrency ecosystem in Asia, especially Indonesia, in creating a healthier ecosystem. Dhani has strong business development and IT professional with focus on computer science. And also Dhani experience with a demonstrated history of working in the internet industry. Dhani learned Bitcoin since 2010 and also skilled in e-commerce, electronic payment network, decentralized finance, digital currency, blockchain, and also distributed system. And also started building CryptoWatch and have educated Indonesian users about crypto since 2017, and recently built his project which is focused on open payment infrastructure for Indonesia called Virgo. Betul demikian, Bapak Dhani?
Ya,
Pak Dhani Taniawan.
betul. Ya. Thank you for the introduction. Ya.
Two Dhanis ya untuk malam hari ini. Jadi nanti saya ngebedainnya gimana nih, Pak Dhani Taniawan dan juga Pak Dhani Baskara ya. Berarti saya harus panggil namanya lengkap nih, Bapak Ibu sekalian ya. Alright then, and then we have Stan Laurensens from Waves Association. Strategic advisor, has been an avid supporter of Waves ever since founded 4 years ago. Stan has recently joined Waves to support the project from strategy standpoint, and he is currently the strategic advisor of Waves Association, the foundation between the entire Waves ecosystem. Hello again, Stan.
Hey, Nel. Hey. Good to see you again.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you again. All right, then. I would like to call back again. Do we have Victor in here? Hi, Victor. And also Luke. Yeah, there you go, Victor. And also Luke. All right, then. We already have all panelists for tonight. Good evening, gentlemen. It was a pleasure to see you guys here for tonight. And I already have some question on this panel discussion. Okay, for the first question, what are centralized wallets and decentralized wallets? What are the advantages of each of them? It's a short question. I would like to ask Victor, would you like to
Yeah, I'll go first for this. Yeah, I think like to give a simple explanation, I think, the difference, what a centralized and decentralized wallet is. Decentralized wallet is the wallet which you control the private keys. So in this case, a person who is holding the private keys is responsible for any type of actions. So usually the main disadvantage is because it's a little bit harder to use as is, because taking care of the private keys are quite a challenge for most people in our lives at the moment. And then on the other side, there are centralized wallets in which companies taking care of the funds for the users. So in this case, as a user, you don't usually need to worry about like security because it's done by the company itself. It's much easier to use just because it's using the same paradigm that we used before. You usually log in with your email and password. And I think those are the kind of the biggest differentiations, is that you own it or someone else own it for you. And I think, in terms of disadvantages, I would say that, the biggest one is that just for decentralized wallets, it's just the keeping private key secure. It's tough in terms of, because there's so many different types of attacks that could be affected, and it's just a little bit challenging for people for the most part. But I think for centralized ones, I think biggest advantage as well is that there's so many different services you can build on top of it. And that's what's being provided by many wallets out there or exchanges.
I think it's important to mention also when people talk about cryptocurrency rule number 1, if you ever hear that term, you'll know they mean generally people that control their own private key. Because if you control your private key, then you actually own the cryptocurrency. But if you give someone else the private key, such as a centralized exchange or a centralized wallet, then they ultimately control it. And you're hoping they'll give it back to you someday so that you can then control it. And it's one of the things that I think is the key differentiators, as Victor was talking about, between a centralized and decentralized wallet. And there are a lot of people that gravitates towards what's called custodial control or centralized control of a wallet because it's what they're used to with an insured bank or something of that nature. But in the cryptocurrency space, there is no similar model. There is no insurance unless it's built into DeFi. And so these are the type of things that are important for people to understand, that although there may be a transition from what they're familiar with, there is also kind of this core ethos of peer-to-peer digital cash where you don't have third-party counter risk. And that is, I think, kind of the dream of cryptocurrency, is that individuals can control and own their own store of value without having to trust a third party. And when you use a centralized wallet, you're essentially trusting them to store and control your value. And in some cases that may make sense. And in some cases, it adds an additional risk.
All right, then. Speaking about centralized wallet, I would like to ask Mr. Dhani, both Mr. Dhani, study from Facts and also from Crypto Watch, can share about what are centralized wallet and about current Indonesia usage about centralized wallets.
I think in Indonesia, people mostly not using any wallet. They just use exchange as a wallet. So they use exchange wallet. So most of them are using centralized wallet, right? So I think we need to educate more about what is custodial and non-custodial wallet, right? So like custodial, if you give your key to exchange, then you need to trust the exchange, right? So but the non-custodial wallet, maybe they don't understand how I'm going to keep my private key. It's a bit hassle to setting up all those wallet. So we just need to give them more education, to use the non-custodial wallet. I think so, yeah.
Yeah, same.
Okay,
so Indonesia actually now most of them are using centralized wallet like exchange. So the key of Indonesia right now is most of us need to educate people about the differentiation between the centralized wallet and decentralized wallet. So the centralized wallet, you don't have access to your private key. So as you know that in crypto, if you don't have your private key, it's not your crypto. So I think this need to educate to Indonesia market. And in decentralized wallet, you totally have 100% control on your key. So as long as you proper backup on your key, I think everything is better in decentralized way. That is from my opinion.
All right, then. So after we knew or talk about what is the differentiation between centralized and also decentralized wallets, now after we choose it's either decentralized or centralized one, what are the risks involved in centralized wallets and how decentralized wallets are there to mitigate this risk? I would like to Oke, silahkan Pak. Dan ini kalau mau dalam bahasa, you can answer in bahasa also.
Oke, ya, I think I will answer in bahasa ya. Jadi kalau di centralized wallet, ya memang salah satu hal yang paling kita penting adalah kita harus mempercayai pihak yang mengkustodian ya. Jadi pihak yang menghold kita punya aset. Nah, ini juga kadang-kadang masalahnya kita ada satu centralized wallet, tapi ternyata tiba-tiba company tersebut tutup. Nah, ini sebenarnya problem. Nah, kalau dari decentralized wallet itu memang 100% itu memang key itu kita yang punya. Jadi memang ini yang perlu diedukasi. Kadang saat ini memang most of crypto people in Indonesia still use centralized wallet. Dan hal ini sebenarnya sebuah peluang ya. Jadi sebuah peluang yang besar buat para pemain decentralized wallet like Trust Wallet, Token, Flex Wallet, anything, so they can enter more people in Indonesia. Jadi sebenarnya ini adalah sebuah peluang besar. Ya, karena memang saat ini Indonesia, most of Indonesia people tuh masih menggunakan centralized wallet. Ya, seperti itu.
I see. Stan, do you have thought about the risk of centralized ecosystem as compared to decentralized one?
I mean, it's the same as what was explained earlier, right? Like not your keys, not your coins. It's the same risk, whether it is a wallet, whether it's an exchange, whether like any type of service that is provided. As long as you don't truly own the private keys, they're not yours. The risk itself is it depends where you place that risk. For example, Binance has had I think last year it was had a sizable amount of like Bitcoins that were hacked essentially from clients' funds, but they themselves have stepped in and said, hey, we are covering this ourselves. There's of course this is our responsibility, and we will solve that. So even though that is amazing, that might actually put the wrong type of trust into other exchanges that might not be able to back up this claim. Binance obviously could, but we've seen many examples of exchanges that were not capable of covering such a loss. So I think the risk here is that, specifically because we're so used to, what was also mentioned earlier, we're so used to banks owning our credit note that we have with them, essentially, and no one ever doubts that our money that is in a bank account will be stolen. No one ever thinks of this. So there's too close of an alignment maybe with what we are used to and how we are treating centralized exchanges versus what a centralized exchange actually really runs as a risk, and how we deal with that. And it's not easy to overcome these risks because there's always a mitigation of not only risk but also opportunity cost. Of course, it would be much better to trade on centralized or decentralized exchanges from the risk perspective. But a lot of people, there's other aspects of trading on exchanges or having access to certain services through decentralized wallets that are too difficult to overcome. Like any token can list on a decentralized exchange. You don't know whether that token is verified, if the project is verified. There's a lot of risks that require technical skill that let's say a normal or a newer user to the industry won't be able to verify and go through themselves. So it's a trade-off of do I want to run less risk but maybe have a different type of access to projects, or do I want faster trading, and am I almost forced to step into a centralized exchange or centralized wallet for that matter?
All right, then. Thank you. Still speaking about the risk, Luke, I want to ask a question. Would you like to share your thought about usability risk due to crypto being more complicated to use?
Yes, I think that, like I was saying in my presentation, that mass adoption of cryptocurrency, I do believe is inevitable, but there is this hindrance in that people aren't going to use it if it's scary, if it's risky, if it feels uncomfortable, if they feel like well, if I don't understand the technical details of it, that I can't trust myself with a private key, or I can't trust myself to send it to the right location and know that it's not going to be lost forever. In cryptocurrency, it's different than if I swipe my credit card and it turns out to be fraud. I can do a chargeback and I can get my money back. And with cryptocurrency, you don't have that option. Once the money leaves your wallet, it's sent and gone forever. So there's this really high level of personal responsibility required to use cryptocurrency. And due to that, I think it's our responsibility as an industry to provide systems that make that process not so risky. And that's why when we talk about solutions for usability in the space, wallet naming alone isn't quite enough to make people feel comfortable and confident using cryptocurrency. And that's why we think like a request for payment or subscriptions or other features that we've been working on within FIO are important. And I hope others in the industry will also provide similar solutions. And they can't just be done within a silo. Like we see certain cryptocurrency projects, for example, solving usability within their currency, but that doesn't work for all the other currencies. So I also think it's important that we have a solution that works across all the cryptocurrencies so that it's a user experience we can train people on. It's something they can start to feel comfortable and confident with. And with that confidence, we lower the risk that they're going to accidentally send their savings or their remittance or something of that nature that's really important to them to the wrong actor. So it's really an industry responsibility, I believe, that we make it easier to use to lower the risks of people incorrectly using it. It's in the past, we've kind of said, well, you just have to learn it. It's just really hard, just figure it out. And we've been doing that for a long time. We haven't seen the mass adoption yet. So I think at a certain point, it's our responsibility to just make it easier.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Luke, for the answer. Gentlemen, anyone want to add about the risk? If not, we are going to move to the next question. Crypto wallets are the keystone of the DeFi ecosystem. What do you guys think about this comment? How is crypto wallet important as a building block of DeFi ecosystem? Stan, would you like to share about the importance of
I would love
wallet?
to answer that question. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's really important to understand what role it plays, what a crypto wallet actually really is, because I think a crypto wallet is a very narrow description of what it plays. Because if we look at everything that's happening in DeFi currently, we're taking centralized and not even centralized, but we're taking real world use cases such as banks, such as issuing loans, such as providing liquidity. Like we're taking traditional real world things and we're trying to code them into smart contracts on a blockchain. And what's happening is that we're, in a sense, we're replacing banks, where your wallet is essentially the entry ticket into a world of different types of functionality. And a blockchain almost functions as a back end for a lot of people, mysterious place where they don't really know what's going on, but they know like, oh, if I do XYZ, then ABC comes out. And a wallet is the entry ticket essentially into playing that game or accessing that environment. And it almost functions as a front end gateway into a range of currently still very straightforward, or even for some like less straightforward functionalities. But the wallet is really it's the key or the portal to the rabbit hole essentially. Like once you have that, you get to access, but it also runs, as we explained earlier, there's a big risk not just of your assets, but also of how you interact with certain functionalities. So I think wallets are super undervalued in many aspects, because once you create, as Luke has said, like it's not just one wallet that works in one ecosystem, but it's much more about like having a wallet that works across different chains, that has access to different levels of functionality. And that's where it gets really interesting, when you have some kind of a level of interoperability for your wallet into different chains, not just one ecosystem, but it's like having a bank account, like having an app on your phone that gives you access to 10 biggest banks of Europe or the 10 biggest banks of the States, and that like an all-in-one type of experience. And if we move into that direction, which I think we are, then it's really a ticket into different movie theaters where you can watch all movies at the same time, essentially. So it's a super important stepping stone, because if we do the base rules of such a wallet right, then it'll allow us to access a whole lot of functionalities that we can't see in traditional finance.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Stan. Anyone want to add about these crypto wallets are the keystone of the DeFi ecosystem?
Yeah, I think we need to any crypto wallets. I think need to have I think not only for send or receive a fund, but I think crypto wallets need to can be used for signing a contract in the DeFi, make people easy to deposit into a smart contract. But now we have this called smart contract wallet. So like Arjen, they do quite a good job in integrating DeFi into the wallet itself. So it's really make people easy to deposit in compound or deposit in DAI saving rate, very easy, and you can withdraw anytime, just press of the button. And also they also sometimes subsidizing the transaction fee also, and some but now currently they don't do it anymore because the gas fee is too high already. So I think I hope that every wallet that can do that also. So not only for sending fund or receive fund, but you can interact with the smart contract in the DeFi smart contract. Yeah.
I'd like to add a comment to that as well. A lot of people think of wallets like they think of their traditional wallet, where there's money actually in their wallet. And I think an important thing to understand with wallets is they're essentially just authenticators. Your money, your value lives on the blockchain, the ledger that is distributed around the world. It doesn't actually live in your wallet, but your wallet controls your private key. So I look at the future of DeFi being this transition from people thinking about wallets as, oh, that's where I store my money, and thinking about it more of, that's where I authenticate messages on the shared ledger. So DeFi, smart contracts, all of those interactions where I need to do something sophisticated and validate that that transaction is something that I intend, I see potentially in the future a shift towards authenticator wallets. And that's also going to be probably on the hardware layer. The operating system itself, the secure enclave on the device you're using, they will start, the wallets will start to take advantage of that more. And so that people can have trust that their private keys are secure, and they can use those keys in more sophisticated ways, just like Victor was talking about Wallet Connect in his presentation. I think wallets are going to start moving towards being a key part as an authenticator of sophisticated DeFi interactions.
I will also add to that. I think, we see a wallet as probably like an ecosystem as a platform, because wallets are combining all those protocols all together and just making unified interface for people to access. And so the way wallets will be growing in the future is that they're not going to be building lots of like smart contracts or any type of innovation themselves. Usually innovation will come from their interface, and everything else will be done by the protocol. So in this case, like if you're building a wallet, people will be doing transfers, trading, swaps, lending, all of that. And it won't happen through like centralized services of the wallet provider. It will happen through all this open source protocols that's out there, like Compound, Aave, or like Uniswap. So those are the protocols that will be integrated for all the wallets in the future. And at the same time, this already happens in terms of like wallets being a platform, because they facilitate all the blockchain integrations. So they already integrate Bitcoin, Ethereum all together into one product. And once wallet become, enough in terms of just, as a product itself, they will start opening different SDKs for other developers to build on top of it. So you can think of this as operation system that allows you to send messages on mobile. So in this case, in the future, you wouldn't need to build any wallet, because you can utilize one wallet in your phone installed, and you can just sign messages through it. And so that's kind of how, the development will look in the future.
All right, then. Commonly for Indonesian, right? Speaking about a wallet, there is GoPay and also GrabPay as a mobile wallet here in Indonesia, and it has been common and also easy to use daily tool which Indonesians are using to manage our assets. I would like to ask Pak Dhani, ini bisa jadi satu keuntungan nggak sih Pak untuk kita mengadopsi tipe mobile wallet yang seperti ini to be applied on the DeFi ya, untuk diadopsi ke dalam DeFi in Indonesia, since we know that maybe beberapa orang think that DeFi is very complicated.
Ya.
Siapa Dani yang mana ini?
Ayo coba. Iya juga ya.
Kalau saya sih, menurut saya ya, GoPay sama Grab itu ya kalau untuk DeFi sih nggak mungkin sih, karena they are totally different infrastructure ya, mereka itu centralized banget satu. Dan kalau DeFi itu berarti kalau mereka mau tag ke DeFi berarti mereka benar-benar harus become a non-custodial, karena DeFi itu satu aja wordnya non-custodial ya. So untuk ke sana mungkin agak susah karena itu perbedaan protokol sekali, dan juga GoPay sama Grab itu juga under license Bank Indonesia, jadi kayaknya mereka tidak akan tap ke currency lain sih selain rupiah sih. So tapi kalau kedepannya Bank Indonesia juga melakukan central bank digital currency on top of blockchain protocol, ya mungkin aja mereka bisa start the new DeFi on top of central bank digital currency di Indonesia sih. Ya itu sih.
We'll see ya, berarti masih ada chances ke sana.
Ya, tapi untuk public blockchain Ethereum untuk currently DeFi nggak bisa sih.
Currently DeFi nggak bisa ya?
Ya nggak bisa.
Kalau menurut saya memang Grab, GoPay still long way to jump into crypto ya, masih jauh sekali. Dan saat ini memang, tapi hal yang menarik dari mereka itu adalah Grab, GoPay itu sebenarnya adalah edukasi. Ya, bagaimana Grab dan GoPay mengedukasi kita how we use digital payment. Jadi sebenarnya ini hal yang sangat bagus saat ini. Jadi adopsi digital payment sebenarnya sudah cukup besar di Indonesia. Cuman untuk sebagai kita pemain kripto, jadi sebenarnya kita ada dua hal dalam hal ini. Jadi pertama kita menunggu big player like Grab, GoPay enter to crypto. Jadi mereka mengedukasi pasar, ya, atau we choose number 2. Ya, sebelum mereka datang, kita yang mengedukasi duluan. Jadi sebenarnya edukasi bisa paralel. Jadi kita mengedukasi masyarakat Indonesia dari sisi perbedaan antara wallet yang custodian seperti Grab and GoPay dan yang non crypto dan wallet yang decentralized wallet ya. Jadi sebenarnya seperti itu sih kalau dari pandangan saya. Jadi memang masih cukup jauh ya kalau mereka jump into crypto.
Okay, thank you Pak Dani. I would like to specifically ask to Luke. Would you mind to share about the importance of usability of wallet for adoption? How important it is for ease of usage as the main factor in getting new users on board?
Thank you. And as we've been discussing, cryptocurrency has to be at least as easy as what they're used to today, like the wallets you're talking about today. And so I feel like after 7.5 years in the space, trying to get people to adopt cryptocurrency, adopt it into their stores with my experience with FoxyCart for 10 years, and realizing the hindrances to it, trying to explain to them public addresses, explain to them how they have to manage their private keys. There's always been this concern of, well, I'll just go use my credit card. I'll just use, PayPal or Venmo, whatever tool that I'm used to, because it's just too hard. It's too complicated. And they don't yet see the value of self-sovereign, decentralized money and value. I think that will change over time, as we're already seeing in a number of countries where different governments are inflating the value of their currency and people are seeing their purchasing power go away. I think it's going to become more and more popular. I just saw the IMF, for example, did a video today about cryptocurrency. And so I think it's going to become more common. And so we're going to have to overcome this usability layer for people to realize, okay, this is something I can understand. This is something I can use. And therefore, we can reach that mass adoption. Kind of like the internet was around for 10 years prior to there being a usability protocol in HTTP. They gave us web browsers, the World Wide Web, and similar things. So I feel like the blockchain industry has been around for 10 years, and it's time for us to have a usability layer. And this can be, FIO is just one example. There's a number of people working on this, but in FIO's case, we have super easy to remember. Luke@Stokes, for example, would be my address for all my cryptocurrency. And then I can also do a request for send as opposed to just the naming part. So when I go to check out at an e-commerce vendor, for example, I put in my Luke@Stokes and I pick up my phone and I get a request with the exact amount of tokens, the details of the transaction, super verifiable and simple. And I know it's going to, let's say, payments at the vendor I'm working with. And I can just swipe my finger, put my thumbprint on or authenticate, and the transaction is complete. So I think we have to make this industry as easy as that in order to reach the billions of people that I believe are inevitably coming to cryptocurrency in the future.
All right, then. Moving to the next question. As per landscape analysis, there is currently a crypto wallet race in the market, with all the wallets fighting for the market share. What do you guys think is the most important feature should be at a wallet be focused on for it to be the winner of the race? I think Victor would want to share about the limitation of current wallet system.
Yeah, totally. You know, like in my perspective, I don't see other companies like competing with each other. I think we're competing for the users. So our goal is not to like take users from each other, because you know the space is too small. Like you need to think outside of the box. How do you attract all the new users from people who never access the crypto? Because the market is so huge, and we only have like, you know, like limited to millions of users who are currently in crypto. And so in order for us to scale like 10x, 100x, we need to bring all the people who never use crypto and yet. And so this will take a long time. And so the way I think about it, we need to, you know, focus on a couple of things, right? Like we need to focus on education, on awareness of crypto, like what kind of value does it give to users? And we need to think like, what is the first use case we can provide to people? You know, it may be not like owning the private keys. People don't, you know, maybe know like what the private keys is. We need to think about like, how can we provide the value to them? And then the rest they can learn, you know, and they will adapt to the system. So maybe we can give them a better value to like do payments, or we can allow them to do better investments, do lending, borrowing money. And so if we can provide that type of value, users will come and they will learn how to use private keys if needed or other services. I think the focus is like, how can we provide something more effective than we did before? So one example will be on a blockchain, you can receive better interest rate, because market making is more effective on the blockchain than, you know, in real life, because banks charging like such a high fees. And so in this case, if we can just bring more awareness about interest rates on a blockchain, people just come and they'll learn whatever tools they need to use in order to use it. And so I think this will be essential for bringing new people to crypto. Yeah, there is still, you know, some skepticism, you know, in perception for people on what crypto is, and we need to change that. And so this will take a little bit of time to develop all these protocols and interfaces to just make it a little bit easier, because there is still a little bit of a barrier to onboard. And once that's over, we will just see, you know, a large amount of people coming and using all these protocols without even knowing underneath. They will just, you know, look behind the interface itself.
I see. It's from customer point of view. Thank you so much, Victor. Stan, would you like to add some about this?
I would want to add something here. I think it's really interesting also for us to look at something that already happened. I think exchanges have had a similar, and with that I mean centralized exchanges. They've had a similar sort of like race in order to differentiate from each other, where like how because you're competing for the same users in a way, and you're not competing against each other. You're essentially competing in a way that you're offering your users the most, let's say, unique or best experience. And I think, of course, in our industry, a lot of people will specifically for decentralized wallets and custody, people will go from one product to another if the usability benefit is tremendously different. They'll go if something is much more easy than something else. I think users will definitely swap. And of course, there's the other aspect of, are we talking about new users or users that are already in the industry? But I think the most or the biggest driver of new users into your product will be if you have something unique to offer. If you have something to offer them that no one else is offering them, and preferably if you have something to offer them that is capable of giving them not just a nice experience, but also offering something that will make them money, which is obviously what most people are looking for, especially for example, for the whole DeFi craze that is going on right now. A lot of people are hunting for really like yield farming and access to unique tokens that they wouldn't otherwise be having access to. And I think if you as a wallet can offer access to something that is user-friendly and generating them a nice interest on what they're holding, or like staking rewards, or something unique that's not just focused on usability, but also focused on generating interest for them, or like any type of monetary benefit, that's a win essentially, especially if that monetary benefit is a unique thing that you're offering. Everyone wants to like obviously get higher returns, and a lot of people were going to, for example, in late 2017, early 18, everyone was going to Binance because Binance was the only one consistently being first in listing tokens that everyone was like eager to buy and to look at ahead of everyone else. And I think that's a wise lesson to keep in mind when we're creating new wallet opportunities for people.
Thank you, Stan. Pak Dhani Baskara, would you like to add some from Vexanium point of view?
Yeah, so for us is decentralized wallet need to have a many feature and integrate many blockchain as fast as they know. Yeah, as we know that now most of decentralized wallet are most into the Ethereum part, that most of liquidity are already there. But I think in some way, if some decentralized wallet have several blockchain, so most of people can have more choices. So I think for some decentralized wallet, they can prefer some promo to the user, like free gas or free CPU for the richest blockchain like FIO or EOSIO or PEX. So people can have more usability to that wallet, and maybe giving more education. So I think that is the key for the decentralized wallet to fighting market share right now. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Pak Dhani. This is my last question before we go to audience's question. Yeah, crypto payment is not yet legalized by Indonesia regulators. How do you think will this hinder the growth of the adoption of crypto wallets in the country, which ultimately limits the growth of DeFi in Indonesia? Pak Dhani dari CryptoWatch dan juga Pak Dhani dari Vexanium mungkin boleh menjelaskan, share about current insight about regulatory in Indonesia previously.
Ya, kalau untuk crypto payment itu sih tidak akan terjadi ya. Jadi itu udah fix, Bank Indonesia udah mengeluarkan bahwa semua transaksi pembayaran itu harus dalam bentuk rupiah. Jadi kalau ada merchant yang coba menerima currency di luar rupiah, itu akan dipidana langsung. Jadi crypto payment itu kayaknya tidak akan terjadi di sini. Tapi kalau ya balik lagi, kalau Indonesia mengimplementasikan central bank digital currency, ya I think ya bisa, maksudnya kita juga bisa experience wallet-wallet yang ada di crypto juga sih sebenarnya sih. Tapi itu adalah rupiah, tidak bisa currency lain sih. Ya.
Oke. Terima kasih Pak Dhani Taniwan. Dhani.
Kalau Baskara ya, kalau menurut saya memang saat ini crypto as a payment itu memang prohibited ya di Indonesia. Jadi dan, kita tidak bisa menggunakan Bitcoin atau ETH atau VX ya untuk membeli pakaian ya di store ya. Jadi itu masih prohibited. Tetapi sebenarnya dalam hal penggunaan DeFi sendiri itu kan tidak menggunakan fiat money ya, tidak menggunakan IDF. Jadi sebenarnya ini masih ada peluang ya. Saat ini juga lumayan banyak dari user Indonesia yang menggunakan app DeFi ya. Jadi sebenarnya penetrasinya masih saya lihat masih cukup bagus, masih growth-nya masih cukup besar. Jadi sebenarnya memang hal ini kita mesti memberikan edukasi antara penggunaan rupiah dengan bagaimana kita menggunakan DeFi ya di dalam bertransaksi yang menggunakannya semua di decentralized wallet. Jadi sebenarnya ini beberapa hal yang perlu diedukasi. Jadi memang seperti tadi disampaikan bahwa untuk Indonesia sendiri edukasi merupakan hal yang paling penting.
Baik. Okay, thank you, gentlemen, for the answer. I'm going to read some questions that come from our audiences for tonight. For the first question, we are going to meet Iqbal. This is from Iqbal Ahdagita El Badra. This question can be addressed to Victor and also Stan. Indonesians like to be free of fees when making transactions. Will there be free transaction fee in the future, or third party or on platform wallet?
Yeah, I think everyone likes to have free stuff. I don't think like that concept will be possible in the near future, like in the next year or so, because if you think about like blockchains, it's all about security, right? So if you're not paying fees, then how do you provide like a better security? So I think it will take some time until we have better system, just more effective system to kind of reduce the fees. There's products who are like willing to pay for this for the users. But if you're a non-custodial wallet, you need to think about how do you build sustainable product and make sure that you can land closed, you can last a long time. So in this case, it will take maybe a couple of years until we can reduce the fees, and this will come on the protocol layers, the blockchains that will try to build a better system to either move this into like a layer 2 solutions or just make it blockchains more effective. But besides that, there's going to be fees, but they will be always reducing just because there's going to be more competition, and every possible project who will come to a market, they will try to make it even cheaper, more secure to use it. So I think just, overall, if you look at any type of product out there in the market, whenever it comes out, it's always expensive, and then it gets cheaper over time. Yeah, but I don't think it's going to be like zero, but it will be some type of fee, or it will be a fee on a different side. If you look at like centralized exchanges, you can start using the product with no fees, trading, all that. It could be all free, but people could be making money on like lending and just holding your funds. So maybe there will be compromise between how you're paying those fees. One example from real world, you're using Facebook for free, but you're actually a product because they're using your data to sell products to you. So I think it depends how you think about like what free means in this case.
Yeah, I was about to say the exact same thing. There's this saying where nothing is for free, and if it's free, then you're likely the product. And yeah, Facebook was a perfect example of this. And I think it counts for fees on like centralized exchanges or wallets as well. Like if you're not paying for something, someone obviously has to pay for that, like that service that is being provided. And if you're not the one paying for it, then you have to ask yourself like how are these people making money essentially, or how can they sustain the system itself? Because if you're making a compromise on the fees, then how well is the security of that system in terms of maintaining the decentralization? Someone needs to provide something in exchange for like being incentivized to do the work, so to say. Of course, Victor, what you mentioned is correct. Like there's so much competition, and there's different choices of how certain networks or blockchains are essentially maintaining their consensus mechanism. And proof of stake is obviously allowing a lot of chains to drastically reduce the fees, which we also see in Waves itself. Like a transfer fee is barely the cost of even a penny. It's like much less even. So there's a lot of options, I think. But for wallets, especially what Luke has also mentioned, the interchain wallets that focus on having like many chains where you can access like the entire DeFi ecosystem in that chain, it becomes quite difficult to always maintain super low fees in multiple ecosystems that you as a wallet have no control over apart from being a part of it. So will it become lower? Yes. Will it be like nothing? I also don't think so.
All right, then. Thank you so much, Victor and Stan. I'm going to move for the next question. It's coming from Rian. What consideration that we should have to choose wallets to keep our crypto assets? Okay, we're going to answer it first. Maybe Pak Dhani.
Apa tadi pertanyaannya? Kalau boleh diulang.
What consideration that we should have to choose wallet to keep our crypto assets?
What consideration? I think, choose a wallet from a good source. Don't simply just download from anywhere. You know, like if you download from anywhere, maybe people can take your private key and use it too. So I think you need download from the trusted source. You know, and also I also see few good wallet nowadays that have a good user experience, like Argent and Django, if you know it. Actually, it's a non-custodial wallet, but you don't have to save your private key, so you don't need to lose your private key. So actually, they do a pretty good, I think, trick behind. You know, they are using the MPC, multi-party computation, or like a TSS, threshold signature SIM. So I think that is really help people to onboard, because people no need to think about the private key anymore. So I think it's a safe and also easy to use. Yeah, I think that kind of wallet you can consider. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Pak Dhani. Anyone wants to add about this? Things that we have to consider it when we choose wallet to keep our crypto assets.
I think there's many things to consider overall. I think, I think it's all about, like, first is the security, right? Ease of use. What value does it give? Like, what kind of features do you need? Because it all depends on your use case. So maybe there's wallets which are better at like one thing or the other. If you're picking a wallet for like a desktop, you would probably go with like MetaMask, just because it's probably the best option for like DeFi usage. If you want to go for mobile, you would pick different options there. I think it depends on your use case. This is the most important part. And then you need to look at like security. And most of the popular wallets, they have pretty good security because, they probably have tons of users, and, you always start from the, good ground-based security for them. Yeah. And then, I think use case will define how you pick the wallet itself.
I would add one additional thing that and this has been talked about when we talk about security, the reputation of the team. How long have they been in the space? How many other cryptocurrency respected entities reference them as a solid development team with a lot of experience building secure products? So looking into the reputation of the team, if it's open source, that's a plus. Doesn't have to be, but that can be helpful, because then you have a lot of developers that have potentially analyzed the code and made sure that it's secure. So it's the reputation of the team developing is also really important.
Yeah, and also one thing to mention, it depends when you consider a wallet, you need to also think about like how much money you're planning to store. The kind of the best practice is always like, if you plan to store more than like a number of thousands of dollars, then you probably want to go with hardware wallet. So in this case, you can keep your funds in cold storage, and then you can have your kind of spend wallet that keeps a couple of hundreds of dollars just for spend, send to friends, and kind of the basics. So in this case, you would always want to have those two options, kind of your savings account and your more checking account, so which you use more often. So I think those would be the better best practices for security.
All right, thank you so much, gentlemen. I hope who was questioning there, Rian, already write down what things to be considered before choose the wallet to keep their crypto assets. Let's move to our next question. It's from Budiman, Bapak Budiman. Selamat malam. This is to all of the panelists. How are the security risks of a mobile wallet compared to desktop and hardware wallets? Are mobile wallets good enough to store a large summary of money?
Yeah, I could go to answer this one. I would say that, it depends, because you cannot just rely on one thing, that if you're using a mobile wallet, then you're going to be like fully secure. Yes, it does, like mobile platform itself do provide, good security, but at the same time, you're still exposed to lots of different attacks that could happen to you. It could be a social engineering attack. It could be, the platform itself vulnerable to like zero-day vulnerability. So you can take in account, or like think about those use cases. But at the same time, mobile wallets usually secure enough if you follow the best practices. Like, storing, recovery phrase in offline locations, and only keep your phrase like inside the specific wallet, and then, never screenshot your phrases, those kind of things. But in general, you're still exposed to, some other vulnerabilities that could happen, where, some apps on Android could, take over the other apps and screenshot the content. So you could be exposed to that. But I think it still goes back to the question, is that like, if you want to store a large amount of crypto, you definitely want to go with a hardware wallet. It's still a small risk to have your recovery phrase like exposed in the phone, because it's considered to be a hot wallet. I think that's how I would consider it this way.
I think in addition to, a hardware wallet has limited functionality, so the available attack vectors are much smaller. And that's the benefit of a hardware wallet. It's designed to do one thing and one thing only, which is to store your key privately and to sign transactions. Now, there are others that I've talked to who use a mobile wallet as a hardware wallet, in a sense, in that they keep it offline. They use it just for signing transactions, and then they are able to broadcast those transactions on another device, or they keep that wallet without any other applications on it. So it limits the risk of another application somehow getting access to the private keys.
All right, then. Anyone want to add that on that? If not, let's move to the next question. This is interesting. This is from Rizka Buana. Actually, she asked on bahasa. This one is addressed for Bapak Dani Taniwan dan juga Bapak Dani Baskara. Apakah menyimpan uang kripto pada mobile wallet dapat menghindari praktik money laundry? Apa pencegahan dari penyedia dompet kripto supaya tidak terjadi hal tersebut?
Kalau dompet kripto itu gimana ya? Karena kan kalau kripto itu masuknya pasti kan dari exchange ya. Jadi fiat itu masuk keluar itu dari exchange. Jadi kalau mau dibilang money laundry itu tidak akan bisa, karena ya kan semua exchange tahu pasti KYC ya. Jadi biarpun dia mau keep Bitcoin-nya di mobile wallet atau di hardware wallet, terserah, tapi tetap aja dia pertama kali membeli itu kan tetap dari exchange. Nah, kalau dia mau cairin juga kembali ke fiat, dia tetap melalui exchange, which is semua itu kan pasti di KYC ya. Jadi kalau namanya money laundry itu kayaknya agak susah, kecuali dia itu melakukan transaksi secara P2P. Jadi dia menghandling cash, terus dia langsung ada yang mentransfer dari wallet ke wallet Bitcoin-nya. Jadi tidak go through exchange, cash-nya juga secara P2P, Bitcoin-nya juga secara P2P. Nah, itu bisa. Itu bisa dijadikan sebagai money laundry juga. Ya.
Oke.
Ya. Jadi memang saya sependapat dengan Dani Taniwan ya. Jadi kalau kripto ya mostly kita dapatin kripto itu dari exchanger ya. Jadi exchanger itu kan dari hulu ke hilirnya kita KYC. Jadi dan ketika kita mau withdraw dari kripto dibawa ke fiat money juga sama, kita mesti KYC ya. Jadi sebenarnya memang ada satu di mana sama. Jadi kita seperti yang tadi Dani Tawan bilang, jadi dari peer to peer memang masih ada kemungkinan, tetapi di bagian muaranya juga sama. Jadi contoh nih sekarang kita melakukan peer to peer ya. Jadi langsung, tetapi di end tetap peer-to-peer itu pasti tetap bermuara lagi di exchange. Jadi sebenarnya di kripto memang hal seperti money laundering itu agak sulit dilakukan karena di bagian akhir tetap harus KYC.
Dia kalau mau cairin ke rupiah dia tetap harus KYC.
Karena ketika cairin ke rupiah dia tetap harus KYC.
Kecuali dia tidak pernah cairin dan dia selalu melakukan transaksi on the protocol. Misalnya dia selalu melakukan segala sesuatu on top of Bitcoin, dia tidak merubah ke rupiah, ya udah itu bisa ini money laundering sebenarnya. Ya.
Oke, terima kasih Pak Dhani, Victor, Stan, and Luke. There was the questioning about how mobile wallets can be, what we call that, can build money laundering. So how us can avoid it. Yeah, and also it's been answered by Mr. Dhani here. And as our last question from our audiences, so this is our last time for the panel discussion. I would like to ask all of you guys, is there anything you want to add for tonight? From Luke, maybe, before we closing this panel session.
I just want to thank all the people that showed up to watch this and all the members of the community. That I love the theme that we're hearing is this interoperability is needed. We need to make it easier. We need to make it safe and secure. And so I'm very grateful to personally be involved in something that I believe in along those lines. And I'm grateful to you all as well for letting me attend today. And I hope that we can work together and kind of get rid of the tribalistic boundaries, these little silos that we create, where it's my tribe is better because I like this product or wallet, or my tribe is better because I like this token or this blockchain. I really appreciate what Victor said earlier about us all working together, because we're not competing as much as we're cooperating to create a better world for the future. And that means creating better products and services than the centralized systems that we see today, that frankly have risks of corruption. And we've seen this throughout the world, where those who have centralized control can take advantage of those who don't. And so I'm just very honored to be part of a community that believes in these same values and these same principles, and at the same time creates value for ourselves in the process. So there's always that economic benefit as well for participating in such an ecosystem. So I'm very proud of the people working hard in this space, developing products and services that make people's lives easier and do it in a way that they get to be self-sovereign in their control. So thank you all for your efforts in this space.
Thank you so much, Luke. Stan?
I mean, I had a few things to add, but Luke said everything almost. So thanks for leaving something for us. No, it's thanks everyone for watching. Also, I saw that the video of last week actually got viewed quite often. So also thank you everyone for watching, not live, but in delay. And I think to sort of close on a topic, it's not just the interoperability, it's also like the creativity with which we try to like find these little niches that work for us and a group of our users. It's super interesting to see how different areas in the world have different slight little changes in focus, where it's like the saying where like culture is a very thin layer, and below we're sort of like all the same, but I think it's similar in doesn't matter whether it's exchanges or wallets or blockchains. We're all sort of looking for the same change for our behavior, something that benefits us, and that's interesting to see what we discussed today.
Thank you so much, Stan. Victor, do you want to add some before we end this panel discussion?
Yeah, I think Luke and Stan said it everything. Yeah, they covered every single aspect. So thank you guys for that.
You're welcome. Thank Luke.
Yeah, thank you.
Alright, Pak Dhani, ada yang mau disampaikan lagi?
Enggak ada sih. Ya,
Closing
terima
statement
kasih.
kita, oke.
Thank you, everyone.
Siap kalau begitu. Alright, then thank you so much, gentlemen, for this tonight panel session. It is a pleasure to have you guys here. I'll see you in very soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye,
guys.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Alright, terima kasih.
Terima kasih.
Untuk Bapak, Ibu sekalian, dan juga para peserta webinar malam hari ini. Setelah kita selesai dengan panel diskusi bersama para panelis kita, sekarang saatnya saya akan mengundi, ya seperti yang tadi saya sudah bilang di awal, kita akan melakukan pengundian untuk 10 orang peserta webinar yang beruntung yang akan mendapatkan masing-masing hadiah sebesar $20. Melalui Wheel of Fortune, kita akan kembali mencari 10 orang pemenang yang beruntung di antara Anda sekalian. Nanti akan muncul adalah alamat email Bapak Ibu sekalian yang beruntung. Kita akan putar Wheel of Fortune yang pertama. Silakan berputar. Lalu kemudian saya akan bilang stop. Siapakah pemenang kita malam hari ini? Selamat untuk gedeangga008@gmail.com. Kita mencari pemenang kedua, Wheel of Fortune. Stop. Deg-degan nih pasti Bapak Ibu sekalian yang sekarang lagi webinar. Nah, pujek88@gmail.com sebagai pemenang kedua yang beruntung malam hari ini. Siapakah yang menjadi pemenang ketiga? Kita kembali putarkan Wheel of Fortune di malam hari ini. Stop. Dan pemenang beruntung ketiga adalah istiandini18@gmail.com. Congratulations. Kita akan mencari pemenang berikutnya. Masih ada 6 lagi tersisa. Apakah salah satunya adalah Bapak atau Ibu sekalian? Kita putar Wheel of Fortune. Stop. Dan pemenang keempat jatuh kepada aris.ekananda20@gmail.com. Selamat. Kita mencari pemenang kelima. Silakan diputar Wheel of Fortune. Stop. Siapakah pemenang kelima? Ini baru setengah putaran loh Bapak Ibu sekalian. Ada 5 lagi. nankinui@gmail.com. Selamat. Sekarang kita mencari pemenang ke-6 yang akan mendapatkan hadiah sebesar $20. Saya akan bilang stop. Ya. Saiful Jihad Jupai@gmail.com. Selamat Saiful, kita akan mencari pemenang yang ke-7. Kita akan putar kembali roda-roda keberuntungan di malam hari ini. Saya akan bilang stop. Kau mencuri hatiku. Oh, itu lagu kalau itu ya. Siapakah pemenang yang beruntung ke-7 adalah Steve Me 140@gmail.com. Selamat untuk Steve. 3 lagi tersisa. Kita akan mencari pemenang ke-8. Silakan diputarkan rodanya. Saya bilang stop. Iya. Dan pemenangnya adalah irfan.winata383@gmail.com. Congratulations. Kita akan mencari pemenang ke-9. Silakan putar kembali. Dan saya akan bilang stop. Siapakah yang beruntung? Semoga Bapak Ibu yang sedang menatap mata saya. dittcomj@gmail.com. 1 hadiah tersisa. Kita akan mencari pemenang terakhir atau pemenang 10 untuk mendapatkan hadiah $20 di malam hari ini. Silakan putar Wheel of Fortune. Saya lama-lamain deh, sejam deh, biar penasaran. Yang terakhir. Stop. Dan pemenangnya adalah gabrielevangeline.ge@gmail.com. Alright, dan congratulations untuk semua pemenang. Sudah ada 10 orang yang beruntung yang saya sebutkan tadi ya melalui Wheel of Fortune. Terima kasih banyak untuk Anda yang sudah mengikuti webinar di kesempatan malam hari ini. Kita masih akan ada webinar lagi besok di jam yang sama. Tapi yang jelas habis webinar yang sekarang, Anda jangan kemana-mana dulu. Nanti akan tampil QR yang dapat Anda pindai atau scan dengan menggunakan gadget Anda, di mana Anda dapat mengisi survei tentang webinar kami malam hari ini. Dan keyword untuk malam hari ini surveinya adalah wallet. Ya, sekali lagi keywordnya adalah wallet. Oke, kalau begitu sampai ketemu lagi di acara webinar berikutnya. Saya Nelson Bing pamit. Selamat malam Indonesia.